和谐的人。我们人跟人之间交往，古代是通过礼来尊重对方，然后获得对方对我的尊重。
Although the capital of the Western Zhou was in Fenghao, Zhouyuan was also an important place because it was the old hometown of the ancestors of the Zhou people and also the former capital. In Zhouyuan, there were many family temples and former royal palaces where the king held fairly regular worship ceremonies and received ministers and nobles. Every time a prince or a noble received an honor, a bronze object was made to commemorate the occasion. This was a practice not limited to Zhouyuan, but seen in other parts of the country as well.
距离周王朝统治中心，比如说千里之外，这样一些，比如说分封的这个诸侯国当中，出土的青铜器，往往和周王朝的这个首都附近的相当一致。无论是从纹饰到这个器型，就应该说它是周王朝分封制度所带来的最直接的结果，这种文化的一致性。
This identity and consistency meant a universal acceptance of the Zhou dynasty cultural, political and ideological beliefs, and bronze objects were the vehicle used to spread them. The stories of legendary figures of ancient antiquity, such as Wang Di, Yao, Shun and Da Yu, were adapted into musical performances to be staged at the highest level worship ceremonies. Among these special music dramas were the story of King Wu's punitive expedition against the cruel King Zhou of the Shang dynasty, and the story of the ancestors of Shang who brought about the downfall of the earlier Xia dynasty. During the Xia, Shang and Zhou dynasties, the multiple cultures of the Neolithic age merged to become the core of Chinese culture. In the inscriptions found on some Western Zhou bronze objects, the word for China appears. This tells us that the political and cultural connotations of the word were accepted, and gradually it came to be accepted in all parts of the country.
那从夏代、商代起，就是讲礼啊。孔夫子讲啊，这个殷于夏礼，所审亦可知也。周殷于殷礼，就是说夏、商、周的礼是相互继承的。那么每一个朝代更换以后，可能对礼呢多少有点改变，有点修改，有点增加。这是有个传统的，这个中国的礼是有传统的，而这个礼表现在物质上呢，就是礼器。礼器的大部分呢是集中在青铜器上。
While most of the Li objects in the Zhou dynasty were made of bronze, so too were a lot of the Yue objects. In fact, the famous Zeng Houyi chimes, the bronze chimes found in the tomb of Marquis Zeng of the Warring States period, were Yue objects.
The integration of Li and Yue elevated music to a higher level, so it could function not only in social life, but also in political, military and educational fields. Along with bronze objects such as the ding and containers of other kinds, also found were bells used for musical performances. If the ding was the soul of Western Zhou ceremonies, these bronze bells made it flesh and blood. According to historical records, during the Western Zhou dynasty there were more than 70 types of musical instruments. music, was a part of life, and all nobles and scholars valued the ability to appreciate music. In the royal court, there was an official in charge of musical education, whose task it was to elevate the ability of aristocrats and scholars through music. The ruler hoped to make all of his subjects calm and peaceful, respectful to parents, and loyal to brothers and sisters through music. According to the ancient book Rituals of Zhou, 1,463 professional musicians worked for the royal family, and this number excluded the musicians hired from outside the court for special occasions. So far, no images of a music ensemble working for Western Zhou rulers have been found. However, an accidental discovery made in Sui-Shan County, Hubei province in the spring of 1978 gives us some insight as to just how magnificent such an ensemble must have been. After the earth and the massive cover was removed from the top of the tomb of Lord Yi, the ruler of the state of Zhang, a magnificent set of bronze chime bells was revealed. Among the 7,000 bronze items discovered, as many as 125 were music-related. It was the greatest archaeological discovery of the 20th century related to music. This set, made up of 65 pieces in all, was more than 2,400 years old when it was found, yet it was still hanging on its wooden frame in readiness for a performance. The largest of the 65 bells weighs over 200 kilograms, the lightest 2.4 kilograms. The entire set weighs more than 2.5 tons. Each bell bears an inscription, and in all there are 2,800 characters. They tell of the high level achieved in music during the time of the Western Zhou dynasty. This extraordinary set of bells, the only ancient musical instrument ever found anywhere in the world capable of producing its original sound, was also the earliest instrument to produce 12 semitones and 5 octaves. In Europe, such a feat was only achieved with the advent of the piano, but that was 2,300 years after this set was made. A special bell placed at the center of the set was found to be different from the others, and the inscription on the bell tells us about its source. The bell was a gift for Lord Yi from King Hui of the state of Chu, for Lord Yi and his descendants to enjoy forever. This bell from King Hui of Chu is more than 90 centimeters tall and weighs about 135 kilograms. Yet compared with other bells, it's not particularly impressive in size. But then the relative size of the state of Zhang, ruled over by Lord Yi, needs to be borne in mind. Compared with its large and powerful neighbor, the state of Chu, the state of Zhang was very small. But if the life of the ruler of Zhang was this luxurious, how luxurious was the life of the ruler of the much larger state of Chu? Of every state during the spring and autumn and warring states periods, a sizable music ensemble and a performance troupe were always ready on hand to perform at a moment's notice. Towards the late Western Zhou, due to social turbulence, many musicians left the royal music ensembles, and when they did, they took with them pieces of music that had previously been performed exclusively for royals and nobles. This royal music gradually became integrated with the music of society at large, and it continued in its function to educate.
中国的这个礼乐制度很重要的一点啊，就是它有一个基本的精神啊，它要讲和，是吧？啊，所谓和而不同啊，是吧？我们讲和，大家用和这个字，是吧？其实和这个字呢，在中国最早用的时候，就是用在礼乐里面。啊，中国讲的这个礼乐之教。 是吧？为什么要用礼乐来作为教育一个重要的内容呢？就因为它可以带一种这个和的这么一个观念。
After the concept of Li and Yue was established during the Zhou dynasty, it quickly became the criterion for any social activity. It was a system that maintained social order, contributed to the stability of the 800-year-long Zhou dynasty, and laid a solid foundation for the Cathay culture that would be established later in the Qin and Han dynasties. During the 2,000 years that followed, the system of Li and Yue never ceased to function. It continued to play an important part in Chinese history. The concept of Li and Yue became the foundation of Confucianism, in which people are encouraged to cultivate themselves while the government consolidates its power. It was also meant to build harmonious human relationships and was the #1 criterion for judging any activity. With the passing of time, many trends have come and gone, but belief in Li and Yue has remained throughout Chinese history.
Social harmony, peace, respect for others and for one's ancestors. These were all key elements of Li and Yue, and these elements are at the heart of Chinese society today. So, although Li and Yue originated 5,000 years ago, their influence is still very much alive. Thank you for staying with us on New Frontiers and tuning in again next time when we'll bring you more about Chinese civilization. I'm Ji Xiaojun from CCTV International. Bye for now.